Canelo versus Sergey Kovalev. I considered not making a video on this. I don't think the fight's definitely been confirmed yet, but it's looking very likely that these two are going to square off. I didn't intend to make a video because I think this... I was going to say that for me this is a foregone conclusion. There have only been a very small handful of fights in the 15 years or so that I've been watching boxing. 10 years of those really quite hardcore, reading about it every day, watching interviews, every fight. But there's only been a handful of fights, and first one was Cotto and Martinez. I was absolutely 100% convinced that Cotto would tire late and Martinez would finish him and outbox him quite easily. Couldn't have been... I still, to this day, haven't watched that fight. I was actually on holiday at the time, so I couldn't see it. I was on vacation with my family, and I read about it on Boxing Scene, and I've never watched it. I watched a very kind of quick, like 10-second highlight clip. I was like, no, that's enough. Martinez was. It's very rare that I grow an attachment to a boxer, but Martinez, I've always loved watching, and that I can't watch. The second was David Haye and Tony Bellew. I was absolutely, again, utterly convinced in the first fight that there's no way Haye would do anything other than destroy Tony Bellew. The third, and this was a bit older, was when Carl Froch fought Arthur Abraham. Again, I was utterly convinced that Abraham would destroy Carl Froch. And I couldn't have been more wrong in all three cases. So maybe I'm setting a precedent here. So maybe Kovalev can, throw the calculations out of the window. But to me, I think right now, Canelo is an absolute joy to behold and a joy to watch. He was on a path maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, of kind of turning into a lower volume, worrying about his stamina kind of fighter. And I don't know what he did. He just doubled down on his commitment. But this kid has fought everyone. I mean, I think he probably has the best record in boxing of current live boxers by a significant margin. He's fought all comers. Right back to the Shane Mosleys, the Laras, the Austin Trouts, Mayweather, Cotto. He's just Triple G. Everyone said he would never fight Triple G. Fought him twice. The second fight, he fought Triple G style. He wanted to go toe to toe. Could anyone ever, prior to the first Triple G fight, could anyone ever have imagined Canelo one day facing off against Triple G and Triple G being the one running away? So I shouldn't say running away, but boxing on the back foot. Nobody saw that coming. I still don't think he gets enough credit for that. But for me, he's the absolute pinnacle of our sport right now. He's fantastic to watch. He's committed. He's always in shape. He's going through the weights like you wouldn't believe. He's knocking everybody out, with the exception of maybe Triple G. His fight with Danny Jacobs, well, maybe was a little bit flat. I don't think Canelo was necessarily bad. But I think he handled Jacobs better than really anyone has ever handled Jacobs, with the exception of his lone loss. But for me, he has everything going for him. And in Kovalev's defense, the rematch, he looked like a different fighter in his rematch. Obviously, he was stopped, I think, in the 7th or 8th round. I forget which round it was. And in the rematch, he looked like a different fighter. He looked like he was happy to counterpunch. He wasn't so. He didn't seem to be so conscious of gassing. Again, double down on his commitment, I guess. But even having seen his kind of comeback fight, I still think that Canelo just stops him. I think he pressures him, stops him, and probably does it quite dramatically. But you never know. Canelo could get caught coming in. Kovalev does hit like an absolute truck, and I'm sure that there'll be a large part of Kovalev's pride to kind of put this kid in his place, stepping up to his weight class, try to take what's his. But I really can't. I can't envision Canelo being beaten really just now. He's a complete fighter as far as I'm concerned. He's fantastic to watch. Always throwing power, always in a perfect shape. Gets full rotation on his punches. He's not perfect, of course. He's definitely not perfect. But he is, for me, with maybe the exception of Loma, but I think Loma's more agility and athletic based. I think Canelo has a probably one of the most polished games in boxing. I'm going to sound like a complete Canelo nut hugger, but I think, again, I have huge respect for his resume, and I've watched all of his fights. He's great for the sport. Absolutely fantastic for the sport, showing that, you can unify, you can chase belts, and he's fought absolutely everyone. Incredible. I appreciate the Charlos are probably a little bit frustrated, but there's always going to be somebody to fight, I guess. But for me, I'm going to keep this short because I really can't envision Kovalev beating Canelo unless it's with a single punch that wobbles him. And we haven't seen Canelo wobble in quite a long time, really wobbled in quite a long time. So I again, he's stepping up in weight, and Kovalev does hit like an absolute truck. I don't think he hits quite as hard as he used to. I think Kovalev has sacrificed a bit of his fluidity. I don't know if you guys have seen the fight way back when with Nathan Cleverly, but that is one of the most destructive fights I think I've seen in a long time. And it was so systematic. His punches had such beautiful fluidity. They were just blended together so effortlessly, and they all looked like they were being hit like Thor's hammer. It was a beautiful, beautiful fight. And I was rooting for Cleverly. I've been following his career for a long time. I hadn't seen that much of Kovalev. So that was a big upset for me. And I've obviously followed Kovalev's career ever since. But I think as he's got older, and probably understandably so, he's had to sacrifice some of that fluidity, and probably to preserve stamina. His destruction of B-Hop, I guess, will always be remembered as well. But we'll see. I mean, Kovalev's been in the game for a long time, as has Canelo. I mean, I think he's been boxing since he was 15 years old, beating up full-grown men. It will probably be a good fight. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to buy it if I can. I say I can. I live over in the UAE, so sometimes getting the boxing that I want, it can be a bit difficult. But I'm definitely going to check it out. I think it'll be a good fight. I just don't necessarily think it will be that competitive. I think Canelo will just be too fast and too precise for Kovalev. But we'll see. As I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Kovalev knocked Canelo out. I know I would be surprised, but it wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the last 10 years. But I think Canelo takes it quite convincingly and systematically breaks him down and stops him. All right, folks, take care.